Welcome back to our weekly lesson study. I'm Lawrence, and in this video we study lesson 11, Joseph, the Master of Dreams. The memory text is taken from Genesis chapter 37 verse 19, and it reads, "Then they said to one another, 'Look, this dreamer is coming.'" Before we get into the lesson, be sure to subscribe to this channel for new lessons every week and share this video with friends. Now, let's get started. The Sabbath afternoon introduction shows us that the story of Joseph covers the last section of the book of Genesis, from his first dream in Canaan to his death in Egypt. Also, Joseph occupies more space in the book of Genesis than does any other patriarch. Although Joseph is just one of Jacob's sons, he is presented in Genesis as a great patriarch like Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. As we will see, the life of Joseph highlights two important theological truths. 1. God fulfills his promises, and 2. God can turn evil into good. In this week's study, we will focus on the early life of Joseph. We will learn that he is Jacob's favorite son, who is ironically nicknamed the Dreamer. This title fits him very well because he not only receives, understands, and interprets dreams, but he also fulfills them in his life as well. In the Sunday's lesson, we study family troubles. Jacob and his family finally find a place to settle in the land of Canaan. After that, family trouble starts. This fight is not about the land or the use of a water well. The fight is spiritual. In Genesis 37 verses 1 to 11, what causes Joseph's brothers to hate him so much? We learn that 1. Joseph enjoyed a special relationship with his father, who loved him more than all his brothers. Also, Jacob even went so far as to make Joseph a coat of many colors, a prince's garment, which is an indication of Jacob's secret intention to elevate Joseph, Rachel's firstborn, to the status of firstborn. So, no wonder that Joseph's brothers hated him so much and could not even engage in peaceful conversation with him. Furthermore, Joseph would bring reports to his father about any bad behavior from his brothers. And when Joseph shared his dreams, showing that God would put him in a higher position and that his brothers would bow before him, they hated him even more. Although Jacob openly rebuked his son, he kept this incident in his mind, meditating on its meaning and waiting for its fulfillment. The implication is that, perhaps, deep down he thought there might be something to these dreams after all. The Monday's lesson is about the attack on Joseph. We study that the brothers hate Joseph because they are jealous of God's favor on his life. We also see that God takes care of Joseph while he looks for his brothers. And when Joseph has lost his way, a man finds him and guides him to his brothers. Also, when Joseph's brothers plot to kill him, Reuben intervenes and suggests that he be thrown into a pit instead. It's hard to imagine the kind of hatred expressed here, especially for someone of their own household. How could these young men have done something so cruel? Did they not think, even for a few moments, about how this would impact their own father? Their actions show us that humans can be very evil. The brothers thought that they would feel better after they hurt their brother Joseph, but some of the brothers did not feel good about what they did to Joseph. The brothers saw a group of travelers coming. They were on their way to Egypt with spices and other goods. Judah now suggests to his brothers a new plan. They should not kill Joseph. They should sell him to these Ishmaelite traders so that they will not be guilty of killing him. So, the brothers sold Joseph to the traders. Then the traders sold Joseph to someone in Egypt. Now, in the Tuesday's lesson, we study Judah and Tamar. The story of Judah and Tamar happens after Joseph is sold as a slave. After Joseph is sold, Judah leaves his brothers. The fact that Judah left his brothers points to his disagreement with them. In the story about Judah and Tamar, we see the same Bible truth as seen in much of Genesis. That is, God will change an evil act into something good linked to salvation. Genesis 38 talks about Judah and Tamar. In the story, who is more righteous and why? We study that Judah finds a Canaanite wife with whom he has 3 sons, Onan, and Shelah. Judah gives the Canaanite Tamar as wife to his firstborn. When and Onan are killed by God because of their wickedness, Judah promises his last son, Shelah, to Tamar. After some time, Judah seems to have forgotten his promise. As he goes to comfort himself after the death of his wife, Tamar decides to play the prostitute in order to force him to fulfill his promise. Because Judah has no cash to pay the prostitute, whom he does not recognize, he promised to send her later a goat from his flock. Tamar requires that, in the meantime, he give her his signet and cord and his staff as an immediate guarantee of payment. Later, Judah hears that Tamar is pregnant. He accuses Tamar of sinning. Tamar shows Judah his ring and his staff. Then Judah understands that he is the father of that child and apologizes. This story ends when Tamar gives birth to Perez, meaning breakthrough. In the story, Perez is born second, the same as Jacob, but Perez becomes first as Jacob did. One lesson we can take from this story is that just as God saved Tamar through his grace, transforming evil into good, so will he save his people through the cross of Jesus. In the Wednesday's lesson, we study Joseph, a slave in Egypt. Joseph now works as a slave for Potiphar. Potiphar is the captain of the soldiers who protect Pharaoh, the king of Egypt. Potiphar also is in charge of the prison for workers in the royal palace. Read Genesis 39. In light of the example of Joseph's working as a manager under Potiphar, what are the factors that led to such success? We learn that God brought him success. Also, Joseph was so good, so his master so trusted him that all that he had he put into his hands. Potiphar even made him overseer of his house. Joseph's success, however, does not corrupt him. Potiphar's wife notices him and wants to sleep with him, but Joseph refuses. He prefers to lose his job and security rather than to sin. The woman, humiliated by Joseph's refusal, reports falsely to her servants and to her husband that Joseph wanted to rape her. As a result, Joseph is cast into prison. Joseph now experiences the sense of abandonment. Eventually, the Lord acts, and it has an impact on Joseph's relationship with the officer of the prison. Here too, the Lord blesses Joseph. Joseph obviously is a gifted man, and he seeks to make the best of it. Whatever his gift, however, the text makes it clear that, in the end, it was only God who brought him success. The important lesson is that all who are gifted, all who are successful, should remember where it all comes from, thus from God. Now, in the Thursday's lesson, we study the dreams of Pharaoh. Read Genesis chapter 40 verse 1 through to 41 verse 36. How are the dreams of Pharaoh related to the dreams of the officers? Over time, Joseph is put in charge of the prisoners. 2 of the prisoners happen to be former officers of Pharaoh. They are both troubled by dreams that they cannot understand because there is no interpreter. Joseph then interprets their respective dreams. Pharaoh also has 2 dreams which no one can interpret. Then the manager remembers how Joseph helped him understand his dream, so he recommends him to Pharaoh. Joseph then interprets Pharaoh's dreams. The 2 dreams show the same thing. In the first dream, 7 skinny cows eat 7 fat cows. In the second dream, 7 skinny hairs of grain eat 7 fat hairs of grain. The 2 series of 7 cows, just as the 2 series of hairs of grain, represent 2 series of years, one good and one bad. Joseph makes sure that Pharaoh knows that God gives him the wisdom to explain the dreams. Then, Pharaoh puts Joseph in charge of Egypt. Thanks to God, Joseph goes from ruler over Potiphar's house to ruler over prison to ruler over all Egypt. The Fridays section provides E.G. White's inspiration about Joseph in Egypt. See E.G. White, Patriarchs and Prophets, page 213 to 223. Was this video helpful? Comment, like and share with friends. Thanks for watching. See you next time.